theater could happen at any place and any time, and it was really about the interaction between the audience and the actor or actors.
You have a critical mass of very, very talented performers who are being bred and trained to find their unique thing that makes them stand out.
You get on stage, and the moment you get on there, it's just a feeling of fantasticness.
People could come to the event and they would pay $5 and nobody had picked the play for them. That they were sort of their own, the audience is their own artistic director.
It kind of keeps people here, or at least keeps them coming back. So without that, a lot of this homegrown talent would go elsewhere.
You get these electric performers who have found their thing, and they do it so well.
It really is one great big party, and that's what I do. I put on a party for a living, and that's not a bad thing to do.
The name of the show is So You Think You Can Be a Music Theater Idol All-Stars. So it's like the spoof on all these reality shows that everybody's into on TV these days, so all those competition-based ones. And they've done this a few seasons, and now they brought back previous contestants to duke it out.
Roy! My mom's going to help me. That's great.
This is actually the fourth Idol show that White Rabbit has done. So it kind of already has a little bit of a cult following. People know what sort of to expect, you know. But this is the first time it's being done in Fringe. So we're super, super, super excited about that.
I think you can ask anyone in our production, and the answer is going to be that there's nothing like Fringe. It's the best time of year. From the day Fringe ends until it starts again, we're counting down the days. And we're really just hoping that people will come out and have a good time and enjoy the bizarreness of what's going on in front of them.
Fringe, right now, the big fad is the musical theater at Fringe, so anything musical-based is usually a huge big draw, so I think it'll go over well.
We're 5 days away from Fringe today, and we just can't wait to get on stage. Everything's going really well. We've got a great group of people, and our actors are all fantastic, and it's a little family that we can't wait to get on stage.
In the first year we had capacity for 45 companies. We probably had about 60 apply, and then just continued to build from there. The festival basically doubled in attendance every year that I was there. So it just grew really, really rapidly, starting at 16,000 and 32,000, 60,000, and just really, really went fast.
I have been doing the Fringe Festival since 1991.
Since I was 16.
Since I was about 9 years old.
I was on the board of the Manitoba Theatre Centre, and a group of us did a play at the Fringe, so that's when I first started coming.
I'd come out from the country and just volunteer to get myself in it, and then I started acting in at 18, and I've been off and on, not necessarily every year, but I'd take a part in it.
I've just fallen in love with it. It's just wonderful.
Okay, we're going over that last scene again. It's some inner monologue. Yeah.
Don't forget to drop your H's.
Like, what? So much pain. No, it's not so much pain as hard work.
We're performing A Taste of Honey by Sheila Delaney. During acting lessons, I worked on a scene from this play, and I enjoyed it, and I thought, I want to produce this play. And so I asked my teacher, Dean Harder, if he would direct the play, and brought him on board, and he suggested that we do it for the Fringe.
Could you see me reading the prom with a...
My character, Helen, is a brash woman who her motto in life is eat, drink, and be merry. She has a daughter who she neglects and tends to abandon according to wherever she is in a relationship with a man.
It was one of these plays that they actually used improvisation, even in the 50s, to develop the play further and strengthen it, and use the dialect of the time in Salford, England. So it's a dynamic play that I'm just having a lot of fun directing.
I mean, we're doing really well, and it's always like, oh, we're gonna add this and like, you know, see how this goes, and we're always working with it, and it's different every day. So it's always like, oh, what's gonna happen this show, you know? But I think that's what makes it real, is because how the actors feel portrays through the play, and I think that's good. It makes it organic. It's cool to start getting involved in the acting community because, I mean, I'm from Carmen, so I kind of like secluded from everything. So this is getting me involved in that, and I really like the play we're doing. I think it's going to be really good.
Performers are always looking for every little edge to try and, you know, find their audience, whether it's handing out flyers in line, creating posters, or we try and arrange, you know, media calls. And so what we do is we allow the artist the opportunity to show up and hopefully, you know, perform a small scene for, you know, radio news stations or newspapers or photographers that do print. And so that gives them a chance to do a little clip, hopefully that will get broadcast during the festival, which will help them garner, you know, a larger audience.
How do you get your word out? And everyone else is getting their word out, and they're both competition and they're your friends at the same time, and they have different shows and you want to support, so the cross promotion's great. But sometimes, like poster, we put this poster out this year. Taking pictures is one thing that I've learned to do from doing the Fringe, and I was able to put this together. To me, I'm excited when I get a good poster and it prints out well. People don't know the hours we put in even the media side of this thing.
I'm postering. Half of the advertising for the Fringe really has come down to postering. So you put out as many as you can within the property that we're allowed to, because people know to come by here to look for what shows they want to see.
The reason I love the Fringe Festival, it's like when all these theater artistic types come out of the woodwork. The rest of the year in Winnipeg, you don't have a clue that all these people exist. And all of a sudden, bam, there's all these amazing artists in this community and throughout the world, and they're coming here, and it's one of the tops in North America. In Winnipeg, we have such an asset in it.
Yeah, I'm just postering now. You can see they're everywhere, so you try and get it out as early as you can, and as many as you can. Just trying to get them out now before it gets too packed.
Well, it's quite an undertaking. With this year we had 24 venues plus our outdoor stage, and I mean it takes a core staff of about 80 for about 3 to 4 weeks just to put it all together towards the final stretch. There's 2 of us working year round, and that's really a large team to try and manage in a short period of time. But we have such great people working for us that it really comes together, almost miraculously.
I've been working for the Fringe this is my 12th year. Lots of fresh air, sunshine, fantastic performers. It's the most hard work and the most fun I do all year.
Part of it is the energy of the festival and the energy that the festival brings to the Exchange District.
Well, in Winnipeg, we're very fortunate to have a centralized park within our site that we can use as sort of the home for the Fringe Festival. And that's Old Market Square Park in the Exchange District. And it's been our home from the very beginning.
Let's hear it for Fringe 2011!
The outdoor stage with some street performers or some bands. We've got a merchant court, vendors and food. We've got a kids fringe activity center, which has got face painting, balloon animals, storytelling, crafts, a lot of free activities for the kids. So if you want to come out and experience some arts and culture in the summertime, the Fringe is the best place to be. But once you're on site, we're going to try and talk you into going to see a play for the very first time.
My job is simply to let you know what's going on in and around Old Market Square and beyond.
We had 7 venues in the first year, all really close to the Exchange District.
Over the years, we've now grown to where this year we had 24 indoor venues. Some regular venues which we rent and put in 10 companies into each one, as well as bring your own venues where the companies provide their own space. there's only 2 or 3 regular theaters in our area, and the rest were, and still are, storefronts or classroom space or museum space or found space. So it really is very fringy for us to create, 5, 6, 7 venues every year from scratch.
It's one of the biggest fringes on the continent. It's sort of right equal with Edmonton, and I'm from Edmonton. I've heard all about Winnipeg, so I'm touring here for the first time. The play I've written for this fringe is called Big Shots, and it's about a shooting in Vancouver, and in the play you see it from 6 different perspectives.
Sit down in the seat against the glass, hands behind your head. I don't have any! Just do what he says!
It's one moment on the SkyTrain in Vancouver that escalates and builds to this shooting of an innocent, and it kind of all piles onto each other and more of these puzzle pieces together.
Byron does the first thing, according to Byron, that Byron has ever done wrong.
There's so many talented people out there, and the artists are the ones taking the risk, right? They're putting themselves out there for criticism. That's what makes an artist, putting yourself out there.
My friend Tom Wood in Edmonton always said that plays are like cake recipes, that you find a great cake recipe and you make it the same every time, but you tweak stuff and you change it, and it comes out different every time, even though it's sort of the same structure. And audiences have loved it, and we've been selling out, and it's been great. Yeah.
The Fringe Festival allows people to focus on that festival because they know people will show up.
You can't avoid it, and then the reviews are in the newspaper, it's on the radio, it's kind of everywhere.
We're so lucky here in Winnipeg where we've got the major media reviewing every single show. We had 150 plays this season alone, and that's just a large commitment to say we're going to get out reviewers to see all those shows, print them all in our papers or online or what have you, and radio, things like that, and be able to reach such a wide audience. I mean, without their support, we wouldn't reach half the audience that we currently do.
The star system, everyone knows it exists. We love it and we hate it, because if you get 2 stars, you're like, oh no, and the reviewer just might not like your style.
Our first night was, a medium-sized crowd, and then after that it's getting pretty full, and then we got a couple of pretty good reviews. So after the Winnipeg Free Press review came out, we almost sold out. So that's good, yeah.
We're just so glad we came. It was just a really good production. Everyone was great in it, and as Laurie said, make you cry.
The show is different every night, which I find interesting. You mess up on a scene, and you have to come up with something and make up lines in your head, and then the next day you go over that scene and you go over it again and again, and then you mess up on a different scene, and it's interesting because I don't think the audience notices, but we know, so I guess it kind of keeps us on our toes.
I think the crowds have been wonderful. The volunteers have been absolutely terrific. Everything is very well organized, and we're just having a wonderful time.
For quite a few years, my husband and I had come to Fringe plays, and we always really enjoyed them. We always said once we retired, it would be a lot of fun to volunteer. So that's when I started, 3 years ago after I'd retired. I really enjoy the arts. I go to quite a few theater companies in the city. So to be able to go to play after play after play, it's a lot of fun.
We both started at 3 and it's 5:15, so I'm going to stamp you for 3 hours. I have been a patron for the Fringe Festival since the first year. A friend of mine from high school was a volunteer in the first year, and she kept talking about how wonderful this thing was. And by the 3rd year, I was a volunteer, and I started off doing ticket sales and ushering. By about my 3rd or 4th year of volunteering, I started doing volunteer training. There you go. Thanks, Casey.
Thank you.
Without their support, the festival wouldn't exist because they sell tickets, they pass on information, they're out there cleaning up the old Market Square Park. I mean, you name it, volunteers do it all for us.
We're approaching the Warehouse Theatre. It's also known as the Tom Hendry Warehouse Theatre. It houses 2 venues, Venue 6 and Venue 5. Venue 6 is known as the Warehouse. Venue 5 is known as Son of Warehouse. So we'll make our way into Venue 6. This area of the Venue 6 is actually the atrium, and this is where we sell our tickets for the shows. And as team leader and the ticket sellers spend most of the time in here. Ticket sales are pretty straightforward. It's cash only. Often the cost of the ticket is straight $10, but sometimes you get discounts for some of the shows. At the end of every show, once the tickets stop being on sale, when the doors are closed, they have to balance, which means they have to do all this math.
Volunteer ID number 23.
23, yes. I have been volunteering for a very, very long time. There's only one active volunteer who's got a lower number than me. He's on my hit list because I really want to be the oldest active volunteer. So the volunteer IDs this year are over 10,000, and I'm at volunteer ID number 23. 10,090. So this year we're over 10,000. So I've been around for a while.
Volunteers, they have a database account. And for those that have volunteered the longest, they have the lowest numbers in the system. It's almost like a point of pride to say, I've been around for many, many years and have a lower number on your volunteer ID badge. And it really is something that the volunteers really cherish because they support the event wholeheartedly.
I'm kind of what they call a serial volunteer. I keep coming back year after year. I have had an opportunity to see some other Fringe festivals, and the Winnipeg Fringe is home. The closest to the Winnipeg Fringe is the Edmonton Fringe. Now, Edmonton Fringe has a few years head start on us.
I went to Edmonton in 1987 and spent the month out there to see how the festival was put together. I just had business cards printed up that just said, Winnipeg Fringe Festival, July 1988, and I was handing them out to all the performers because it's the artists that make the festival, right? It's the companies that make the festival. So my biggest fear was like throwing a party and nobody would come.
The Fringe in Winnipeg is really cool because it's a small area and we get to meet all the performers and I get to play with other clowns. And people in Winnipeg, they all come to the Fringe too, which is really supportive. It's good,
The Fringe really introduced this idea of an urban festival and that you could bring people downtown and that you could create a lot of energy by having people on the streets. And that's why we had the old Market Square. It sort of functioned as an ongoing commercial for what was happening in the venues that you actually had to go and see. And it was another reason for not selling advance tickets so that people could line up and they would have to interact. And I think that's why the attendance doubled so quickly in the early years.
When we had this little event start up with all these independent theater companies with all these brand new plays, Winnipeggers flocked to the event, making it the most successful first-time Fringe ever in Canada, and it's just grown ever since. And I think that's just really an incredible, testament to how strong an arts community Winnipeg really is. For me, some of the best shows I've ever seen have been Fringe plays, only because of the spontaneous. You walk into a theater, it's a new play, you have no idea what you're going to see, and you're going to be blown away. You're going to say, I paid, maybe back then $5 to go see this amazing production that you would have spent $50 on in a main stage season.
At the end of the show, what does an all-star need to do to get an inside edge?
Well, these are our all-stars, so we have to bring up the pulse in this room. You know what I'm saying? If they want to get on my crazy carousel, well, we need some polish and panache. Oh, bring it on!
Let go. On stage, I play a character called Claw Maxwell, who is in this show described as a brooding Buddhist. When we last saw Claw in Music Theatre Idol 2, she had just come off of Skid Row and was rough and tumble and had, spent some time in jail. And since then, she's gone on a Buddhist journey to harness her anger and find her Zen. And she's back ready to win Idol with meditation and performance art.
My character in this show is named Vespa. It's a very flamboyant character, kind of ends up towards the end of the show as a bit of a drag queen, bit of a drama queen, kind of the diva of the group, so it's a lot of fun to play.
Oh, I enjoyed it. It's
over the top, totally fringy. Very bizarre characters vie for the votes, and then the audience actually votes on who's going to win.
You have all the characters in the play, and then the last characters when you add the audience and what that does to a play. And in the Fringe's case, you know, you add the audience and the environment, and it changes the feeling of an audience and the energy of an audience.
There's no strangers at the Fringe. If you come down to the festival and you're standing in line to buy a ticket to a show, within minutes, you're going to be, talking to other patrons in line, asking them what they've seen. They're going to be telling you what they loved, what they hated, what they want to go see.
It was really innovative, creative, lots of laughs, lots of energy, dance, music. It's musical theater. I love that.
It turned out fantastic. And the crowd's been building, and last night we were 15 away from a sellout. And even today, the hottest day of the festival on 3:30 on a weekday, still had a nice big house.
After 24 years, it never really ceases to amaze me that we keep attracting new first-time fringers to the event here in Winnipeg. I mean, we had a ticket attendance this year of over 87,000, which is just phenomenal. And to think that we can still keep growing is hard to believe. But, every year it just seems to happen.
It expands everyone's creative horizon, and I think it's done that with the community here. There's a much wider variety of the style of theater that happens now than there was, 24 years ago.
We have some of the strongest actors, directors in North America here because of what we've been able to do for the Fringe Festival.
With our 25th anniversary coming up, we think that great celebration will really get some extra excitement behind our festival.
How big it will get, I don't know, but it actually doesn't really matter. What matters is that people come, they see lots of great theater, they have a great time, and it contributes so much to the area and the city and Winnipeg's reputation outside of the city. Those are the things that are really important about it.